Hello YouTube vacuum enthusiasts. So I am back with another airflow box test. And this is kind of actually an unscheduled one. You can see I have this Kirby Heritage here from 1983. And I actually just finished restoring this machine. So you can see, especially with my studio lighting, it is very shiny. And it's in very excellent shape. Just needed a good tune-up. I did put a new front and rear bearing on it, as well as resealed the fan case with some gasket maker, lubricated the Brushroll bearings, put a new belt on, put a new bag. You can see the type of bags that I'm using there. Genuine Kirby. They are paper bags, but for this Heritage style, I haven't been able to find HEPA bags yet. But the only thing that I didn't change that I may end up doing in the future is the fan in here is the original gray plastic fan. Now, obviously, those fans are known to crack, but I did examine it very closely, and there weren't any micro cracks in it. So since I'm not going to be using this machine that often, I just decided to leave it in. I still may end up replacing it with one of the newer white amodal fans, but especially since the fan that's in here, even though it's the older gray style, is in such good shape, it probably wouldn't impact the airflow very much. So let's go ahead and get started with some airflow box tests. You can see I've got two of my other Kirbys. I have the Legend 2 over there and my DS80. Both of these I have restored, although you can see the DS80, the polish needs a little bit of help there, so I may end up redoing that. But the Legend 2 is in very good condition there. So let's go ahead and see what this Heritage can pull. Get the anemometer set here for our max value. Our first test will be bag in with Brushroll spinning. And here we go. Okay, so you can hear the really smooth whine down there with those new bearings. Sounds excellent, but 125.6 CFM. Now, if I'm remembering correctly, I still have yet to test my Heritage 2, not the Heritage 2 Legend, or the Legend 2 over there, but the Heritage 2. I believe VacLab's got 128.1, so less, 2.5 CFM difference is probably really just a measurement error. So seems like the Heritage 1 and the Heritage 2 are pretty much equal, but 125.6 CFM, obviously not really close to what my Avalier 2 got at around 160 CFM, but still a pretty good showing for this vintage Kirby. So next up, we're going to go ahead and turn the Brushroll off and see what kind of difference that makes. There we go. Bag's still in, but this is with Brushroll off. Okay, so we're at 128.8, and I believe we were at 125.6 last time, so a little over a 3 CFM increase by turning the Brushroll off. So next we're going to go ahead and take out the bag. Again, we're using a genuine Kirby paper bag right there, but let's go ahead and take the bag out and see what kind of difference that has. Alrighty, so the bag is out. You can see I set it right there so you can see what kind I'm using. Kirby Style 2. Let's go ahead, we'll reset our anemometer here. And turn the brush roll back on. Like so. And we'll do 2 more measurements. So this is bag out, brush roll on. Okay, so 128.8 CFM. Again, we're sort of hanging around that 128 to 129 level. But our next measurement should be the highest, and we're going to turn the brush roll off and leave that bag out. But showing, the bag only drawing down about 3 CFM is pretty good actually for this paper bag. I forgot to mention, this bag has never been used before for anything other than airflow box testing. I actually went to a vacuum store to buy these Kirby bags just for these tests and just for this machine. So they definitely have not been used, but here we go with brush roll off and no bag in. Alrighty, so we finally broke the 130 CFM barrier, but 131.1 is this machine's highest measurement. So again, a pretty decent performance from this Heritage. Just a little bit less or almost equivalent to the Heritage 2 series. So pretty good. But next up, as you can see, finally, thank you very much to VacLab for posting a video about how to do this. My suction gauge is calibrated back at 0. So we're finally able to do suction tests that are accurate again. So the first one we'll be doing is this Heritage. Let's go ahead and get set up for a nozzle suction test. Okay, so we're all set up for a suction test with my newly calibrated suction gauge. And let's see what this Heritage can pull. Not expecting a lot, but let's see. Okay, I'm pretty sure I saw 26 inches, but again, I'll put that in the footage live when I can review it. So 26 inches of lift is a decent performance for a Kirby, not quite matching the around 30 or so that I got with my Avalier 2, but about 26 inches. And then our final test here is going to be a brush roll speed test. So the Heritage 1 is in position for our Brushroll speed test. And I just want to show you, so this Brushroll, I did re-lubricate the bearings on it. The bristles are actually in pretty good condition, so I didn't think it warranted a new one. But you can see one casualty here of the restore is I was a bonehead and was scrubbing this Brushroll in the sink. And then all of a sudden, I was like, oh my goodness, the paint is coming off. So there's some really ugly scratches in there, but that doesn't affect the use of it, obviously. But we have our piece of reflective tape. If I can actually spin this here. It's a new belt, so it's a little tough. But there's our piece of reflective tape to be read by the tachometer. So we are all ready to go. This machine was warmed up for about 2 minutes before we started this, so it will have its best chance to get a high reading. So here we go. So it almost was still warming up there, but 3570 is about the peak of what I saw. And I did do some pre-testing, and 3570 is about what it maxed out at. So obviously nowhere near what my Avalier 2 got, but they have increased the Brushroll speed significantly since this generation of machines. But about 3570 for our Brushroll speed measurement. And now for the final part of this video, let's take a quick look at all of the measurements we collected from this 1983 Kirby Heritage 1.
So looking at the measurements for this Kirby Heritage 1 from 1983, you can see I put the serial number there in the lower left-hand corner there so you can reference it, as well as the ratings plate in the lower right-hand corner. But the airflow numbers are remarkably consistent. Obviously, I was using a Kirby paper bag because the bag collar style is not the same as that used by the Heritage series, or by the Heritage 2 series, I should say, and the Legend 2 as well. So there's not really any HEPA bags available for it, so I just had to go with the paper bags. I still may end up doing a modification so it can use the HEPA style F-type bags, but I didn't do that for these tests. But as you can see, the CFM remained remarkably consistent between the bag in and bag out measurements, just about a 2 to 3 CFM difference or so. Obviously, the bag won't keep its airflow as well as a HEPA bag as it fills up, but still a pretty small drop there. But overall, very good airflow results from this machine, especially considering it's an older Kirby, and obviously doesn't have the newer emptor improvements and motor efficiency improvements that they've made to all the new models, as you saw with my Avalier 2. But CFM density, the nozzle size on this is absolutely enormous. 42 inches squared is about the size that I measured. And so even though this machine has really good airflow measurements, its CFM density isn't actually that high. So it only is hovering about a 3 or so, 3 CFM per square inch. So it's really not that hard to push, even on relatively thick carpet. It does like to seal down, but especially compared to even like the Dual Sanitronic 80 and the Heritage 2 and the Legend 2, those Kirbys that don't have the tech drive but have a significantly smaller nozzle, this machine is easier to push because its CFM density is significantly lower as a result of its enormous nozzle size. And then also you can see the watts per CFM column. As always, like all Kirbys, this machine is incredibly efficient. Very green, only about 580 watts or so with the Brushroll on, 530 or so with the Brushroll off. So as always, a very efficient machine, especially for the performance it produces. And then finally, you can see there at the bottom, nozzle suction, 26 inches of lift. Of course, that's standard for direct air machines. Relatively speaking, it's not a good measurement, but for a Kirby, it's decent. And also the Brushroll speed of 3,570 RPM is relatively low compared to other modern Kirbys, but for a Kirby of this age, that's perfectly what you'd expect. So it's a standard sort of measurement. So that is pretty much it for this video. As always, be sure to comment any suggestions or critiques down below. I always love reading them. And be sure to like and subscribe. Also ring the bell so you get notified when I post a new video of tests. And thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again in the next video.